Welcome to Injured? Ask Grover, featuring top personal injury attorney David Grover. Voted a New York super lawyer 6 consecutive years, David brings his 3 decades of experience to explain the most common questions he encounters from all forms of negligence, recklessness, and carelessness. Misconduct that can cause emotional, mental, or physical harm. This is the podcast where injury law meets real life. No legal fog, no corporate spin, just straight talk from the plaintiff's side of the courtroom. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Injured? Ask Grover, featuring personal injury attorney David Grover from the firm of Grover and Fensterstock. My name is Thad Helsley, and I am here with our legal expert, David Grover himself. David, how are you?
Doing well, Thad. How are you doing today? Filming this today on a nice Monday here in New York City. So happy to be here and happy to discuss these topics with you right now.
Okay, great. So today you've chosen to talk about slip and fall cases, which are apparently very common. And David, maybe we can start. You can tell us, what is a slip and fall case and how does it differ from like a simple accident like tripping over your own shoelaces or something like that?
Okay. Well, first of all, tripping over your own shoelaces would create some issues because you'd have to sue yourself for the damages. So, it creates some financial problems, maybe a conflict of interest. We don't want to go there, right?
I couldn't sue Nike for the shoelaces, huh?
Yeah, that'll be a tough one, but I guess anything's possible, right? So, basically, slip, trip, and fall cases really are comprised of really 2 different types of things. One, at least I can speak for New York City, is trip and falls on sidewalks, sidewalk defects. Somebody's at fault that caused the injury, caused the accident. Typically, a sidewalk might have an elevation over a certain much, and you trip over that and hurt yourself. The other kind, which you hear about, is number 1, slip and falls on ice, on snow, which of course is in New York City. We get that about 6 months a year, and at least we used to, maybe these days 2 months a year. But slip and fall, ice, and snow. And then the other one is just a slip and fall on a slippery substance. Like you walk into a store, they just waxed it, and they don't put a sign up. You slip on the wax. The floor is wet for whatever reason. Someone spilled something. You slip on a wet floor. So those are really, I would say, the 3 most common typical slip, trip, and fall cases: the snow and ice, the slip on a watery substance, or like a wax floor. That's kind of what we see the most these days.
Okay. And then if you are injured for any of the reasons you just mentioned, what do you have to prove to show that the owner, or I don't know in a sidewalk who is the owner, I guess the city itself, but what do you have to prove to show that they are responsible?
Yeah. So negligence. What is negligence? Proof that they knew or should have known about the defect. Is it something that is something they should have seen? That's the way. Now, with the city, very, very different. With any case against the city, you have to have prior written notice. They're difficult cases because if there's a sidewalk defect or a slippery area somewhere, I mean, will there be written notice to the city that somebody complained? Well, sometimes we find them and we do it. And we do sometimes are able to process those cases. But they're difficult. But with private industry, private businesses, you don't need that. You just need, should they have known? Did they know? Did they cause it? Did they create the dangerous condition? So that's really what we need to go for. So you need to have negligence. You need to have liability. And then you need causation, meaning their negligence that created the dangerous condition was the cause of your slip and fall. Now, the city and the snow, that's a whole nother thing, right? The city is not usually liable these days. So what happened was years ago, they passed a law in New York because New York was getting way too many claims against them, the city, right? Every time there was a sidewalk incident, the city was having claims against it. So what they did, they changed the law and said, commercial properties, and we could talk about the definition of commercial properties are responsible for their own sidewalks. Okay, you trip and fall in front of the Empire State Building. It's not the city's responsibility. it's the Empire State Building's responsibility.
Oh, really?
They have to maintain their own sidewalks. Which,
so every single different address has to maintain the sidewalk in front of it.
Commercial. If you're there's not too much in Manhattan, but if you're, Ma and Pop Smith in Staten Island, and you have a little house and you live there, no, that's the city's responsibility.
Okay.
But if you're a commercial property, that commercial property is responsible. And it makes it a little simpler for plaintiffs because, like I said earlier, for the city, you need prior written notice. That's hard to get. But if there's a defect in a sidewalk in front of a store, in front of the Empire State Building, it's not that difficult. Hey, Empire State Building has employees going in and out every day. If there's a defect, they should see it. If it's a city, you don't have that luxury. You need a prior written notice, and that's kind of hard to find sometimes. So, so basically, the city is not typically that responsible these days for most slip, trip, and falls in New York City.
David, this past winter was one of the harshest the Mid-Atlantic has had in years. So public works and individual property owners were simply unable to deal with the snow and ice on sidewalks, and that was just a reality. Nobody had the equipment or the people or what have you. I myself fell in front of my own house a few times. Fortunately, wasn't really injured, but still, who is responsible in those situations when Mother Nature, it's almost like force majeure?
Well, basically, owners, landlords are responsible to clear snow and ice from sidewalks.
Okay.
However, here's a little caveat with those things. If there's an ongoing storm, they're actually not during the ongoing storm. And to think about it, kind of makes sense, right? If there's a storm going on, you can't expect a landlord or an owner to be out there every 5 seconds as the snow's coming down. Right. So they give owners a little bit of leeway, right? So there's two different leeways, I think, that owners really get. One, ongoing storm. You're not responsible for your sidewalk until 4 hours after the storm ends. Right?
4 hours after the storm ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it ends at 3 p.m., that sidewalk needs to be clear and safe by 7 p.m.
Gotcha.
But there's something else to that too. Yeah, there's something else to that story. That deadline does not count at night, 9 p.m. at night till 7 o'clock in the morning. Why? I guess they don't want landlords up all night with their shovels at 3 a.m. shoveling. So that 4-hour deadline starts at 7 a.m. So like I said, your 3 p.m. snowstorm, you better have that sidewalk clean and safe by 7 p.m. However, if you have a 3 a.m. snowstorm that ends, well, you're okay for a while because you're okay till 7 a.m. and then you get to 4 hours. So you have till 11 a.m. the next day. So that's where there's a lot of leeway with these things.
There is, because there's a rush hour in there, if it's Monday through Friday, right? And you guys have 11 million people all crunched in on that island. And I know how crowded those sidewalks get.
You do. Yeah,
I can just see people that are like just falling right and left on top of each other,
They do. Thankfully, most landlords try to do better than this. Most go out there right after the storm to get rid of it. But legally and to establish a claim, you do have that. Now, again, with the city, all other problems, if it's a city claim, which most are not, you got that whole prior written notice thing, which is with snow and ice is going to be pretty difficult. But with landlords, you got that 4 hours, get it done, or you might be on the hook.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, David, regardless of what kind of an accident I've had or where it took place, what do I do if I've been injured? What do I immediately do?
Most important thing, your health, Thad. That's the most important thing to worry about in any type of accident in a slip and fall case. You could have some serious injuries. You could have catastrophic injuries.
Yeah.
You could have internal you don't know about. Mm-hmm. So forget your case for a minute. Mm-hmm. Get yourself medical attention. Get to a hospital. Get to an ER. See a doctor, because the worst thing bad things happen sometimes when you have a bad trip and fall. We've seen it. Please get medical attention. Secondly, now this is more documentation and case related. Yes, photos. Take a lot of photos. Take photos of the place you slipped, you tripped, the sidewalk defect. Take it close up. Take it far away so we can see where it is on the street or in the store. Talk to people. Talk to witnesses. Get witnesses' names and phone numbers. I can't tell you how many times clients have come up to me on a disputed case and say, I had a witness. Who is that? I don't know. Well, no. You have to know. Get that witness's name. Get that witness's number. That's very, very important. It may not seem important at the time, but years later, it could be huge. So please always get the information. Take notes.
Do people cooperate in New York City? It seems like people are kind of mean. I don't
No, don't listen to those rumors.
Okay, don't listen to those rumors.
Wonderful people in New York City.
The cops are always nice. It's like, when I ask them, well, how do I, which metro should I get on, blah, blah, blah. They're always really great. So
I got to tell you, it's one of those things I think is an unfair reputation. I've been living in New York pretty much my whole life.
Right.
People in New York are nice. We have a hard shell, but we're good people.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, I used to I live in the DC area, as you know. I go up there almost every week, for Gannett USA Today. And people were always telling me, New Yorkers, people that I would work with, said, don't look anybody in the eye. Don't look anybody in the eye. Just kind of look at the ground. Right?
Well, because they'll think you're weird. That's true, too. You're right. That's
I'm just like, what?
Okay, we're good people. But if you look at us in the eye, we think there's something wrong with you.
Okay.
If you start talking to us in a subway, we think there's something wrong with you. So, yes, that hard exterior is a true reputation.
So you need to know what the barriers are, what the guardrails are. Okay.
So we're good people. We're nice people. And to the point of your question, yes, people are very cooperative with being witnesses. They always want to help. They see something, they want to help. They see you on the ground, you'll be surprised. Some of trips on the street in New York, there's a group of people that run over there to help them. Okay?
Really?
They help them up. They want to get the medical attention, and they're always happy to call. I got to tell you, 99% of my cases, when there's a witness, those witnesses want to help. They see what happened, and they want the truth to come out. So getting witnesses, when they see this, not an issue. If you don't get their name and number, well, that's a whole other problem. But if you get their name and number, yes, it definitely helps the case. So document, photos, everything you can do, because later on, that's going to make a big difference.
Okay. So that's okay. You've sort of touched on this, but let me ask this in a different way. Is there a difference between having a slip and fall in an office or a government building or falling in your next door neighbor's kitchen? Who's your best friend?
Well, I mean, in a sense, in terms of liability, in terms of damages, there's insurance. So they are kind of the same. In a lot of ways. However, you mentioned the word government.
Yeah.
And that changes everything. That changes the entire question. Yeah. So if you get hurt in your friend's kitchen and they were liable, well, for the most part, I would say with some exceptions, you have 3 years to file suit.
3 years?
So, 3 years. Negligence, statute of limitations is 3 years.
Okay.
And then the big however. If it's New York City, that changes everything. Number one, 90 days for a notice of claim. You have to put the city on notice of a claim within 90 days.
Well, you better not be in a coma then, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are ways around it in that situation, actually.
Yeah.
But yes, 90 days is the rule.
Okay.
Not only is it 90 days, but it's the statute of limitations to file suit against the city is 1 year, 90 days. So, yeah. So
you mean the city versus any other kind of government? City versus state, city versus federal? Is that what you mean?
Well, states are a little different, but they all have their own statute of limitations that are different than the private industry statute of limitations. So,
okay.
Yeah. So you need, I guess the moral of the story is call a lawyer because it is a little complicated, and the notice of claim could be complicated. Who do you put on notice? Is it the city? Is it the Department of Education? Is it the Parks and Recreation? So there's so many different complications with these things,
right?
And documentation and measurements. So these city cases with notices of claim are difficult. So you definitely just want to make sure. And sometimes you don't know. So if you're not an attorney who works on these types of cases, you may not know. Is it a city case? Is it a private case? Is it I have a case now, for example, where someone fell in front of a house. You think, well, maybe it's a city case, right?
Or what about Central Park?
Central Park,
people are probably falling all over the place. You got horses, you got scooters, you got all kinds of stuff going on down there, right?
Yeah. Well, city cases are with a prior written notice. So if it's a city element to it, with the roads, with the slip and falls, you still need that prior written notice, which is difficult.
So the park is 90 days.
Yeah, typically, yes. And you can be hit by the car in the city. Yeah. The horses might have their own, their own insurance. People with scooters, unfortunately, most of them don't have insurance, so that creates problems. But yeah, so Central Park would be again. There's always exceptions, but for the most part, prior written notice. So it's difficult to sometimes hold, these Central Park, again, cause and create. Could the city have been doing construction and created a dangerous condition? Yeah. Well, that would count as notice. So when I say notice, they have to know the condition, notice, or create the condition. So sometimes you get around that prior written notice by the cause and create doctrine, which is, did they create it? What they created, they had notice, right? So it's sort of the same concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've answered a lot of these questions here. Oh, so one question that came up, what is comparative negligence?
Yeah. So comparative negligence in any personal injury case is, we use that term to describe, well, what did I as a plaintiff do to cause the accident?
Oh.
Right? What was it that I could have prevented? How was I negligent to myself? So an example might be, okay, you have an icy sidewalk and I decide to sprint like I'm an Olympic sprinter down the icy sidewalk. I mean, is the defendant still liable? Yes. Can they make a credible allegation that maybe I was comparatively negligent, that I shouldn't have been running full speed down an icy sidewalk? So comparative is basically saying, what did you do to cause that accident? What did you do? So and then you get back, but it doesn't mean you don't have a case. It gets back to percentages. So you could be running down the sidewalk full speed, an icy sidewalk, and it could be, a jury could decide, or you could negotiate a settlement saying, wait a minute, you're 50% responsible for the accident. Thereby, you'd be settling or potentially a verdict of 50% of the value of your case.
They really make those kind of calculations, like you're 50% responsible?
Yeah. And we do even in negotiations, we do. Sarah, I kind of get it.
Okay.
We do this in auto cases a lot. For example, red light cases. So one guy says he had the green light. The other guy says he had the green light. There was no witnesses. What do we decide? We usually typically settle those cases 50-50 unless there's something in our favor, because we'll never know. So, and a jury could do the same thing.
This is the end of part 1 of 2 of our conversation with David about what to do when you are injured in a slip and fall accident. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be available at this same location in about 2 weeks.
David is a partner at the firm of Grover and Fensterstock. Their 24-hour hotline is 1-866-99-LAWYER or 866-995-2993. The direct line is 212-527-7575. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary by jurisdiction and can change over time. If you need legal advice regarding a personal injury matter, feel free to consult our host, David Grover, in New York State, or an attorney located in your home state to discuss the details of your case. Copyright 2026. Grover and Fensterstock, PC, all rights reserved.